Hello, everyone, and welcome on today's webinar dedicated to female leadership in deep tech sector, deep tech sector to be precise. We welcome international audience today from Berlin and from Estonia, and many other internationals joining to our wonderful webinar. So my name is Vladislav. I work as a project manager in SIBB. I'm in charge of connecting Berlin with other wonderful countries, including Estonia. Our main focus within the project Deep Tech Hub is Central Eastern European countries, including Baltic states. Reach me out afterwards if you are keen to know some Berlin-based tech companies, or you would like to be linked with some countries from this region. And I'm heading the word now to Baum. Thank you. And before
Thank you very much.
Before I will hand the microphone, I would kindly ask, I'm sorry, Mali, to all participants to mute their microphones and to stay until the end. Please enjoy today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vlad. I'm super happy to be here today as a long partner for SIBB, and also Piret is here in the audience, and you probably will hear as well. This collaboration between Estonia and Berlin started long time ago with the willingness of bringing everything together. We would like to bring this collaboration between SIBB and KODA, and of course, integrating WLOUNGE with the value of bringing more women into the forefront of startups, of venture capitals in all levels, in all layers. So please allow me to bring the stage to Piret to say some things. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Mali, and thank you, SIBB, and thank you, WLOUNGE, for co-organizing the event. Sunny greetings from Tallinn. It's not a very common theme, unfortunately. And then I was heading to the office. I was thinking it's actually the same with deep tech. It's not that common to see female ladies starting up their companies and making them big and successful. We definitely are here to change it. And I'm happy to see that the participants are not only female, but also men. And that's the story behind the diversity. It's not that we discriminate one part or the other part, but we make it 2 + 2, which is much bigger than just 4. And the same goes about the collaboration. We had a wonderful opportunity to visit SIBB Accelerator in person with female leaders of Estonia back in November, when the sun was nowhere else to be seen, even like very small hints. But we got so much exciting new information about up and coming startups in Berlin, which are not going to change only the Berlin, but also hopefully the whole world will benefit from it. And super happy to have you on board, super happy to see both Estonian startuppers and startups from all around Europe joining us. And yes, happy, but not only happy, but more convinced than ever that female leaders are needed not only in a medical world or educational world, but or like in politics, but actually in deep tech sector as well. Have a great webinar, Joel.
Thank you so much, Piret. And just to kind of like shape up the energy, and I'm actually very happy that we are like intimacy circle, because we would like to encourage each one of you to, first of all, ask anything on the chat, disturb on the discussion, because it has to be like an open discussion that you can take a lot out of it afterwards. So I would like to start with giving some overview here, and who is the best of doing this than Sandra from Startup Estonia. Please, Sandra, come forward and The stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sandra from Startup Estonia. So happy to be here today, and thank you for inviting me, Piret and Mali. Definitely very, very important topic that we have been talking about more and more here in Estonia and Startup Estonia as well. So I'll just try to give you a brief overview, and afterwards feel free to ask any questions as well. Just to start off, a little bit about Startup Estonia. So we are actually a governmental initiative that has been functioning since 2015, and our aim is to support the whole local startup ecosystem in order to be able to keep creating these success stories in Estonia that would also shape the rest of the world. And how we have been doing it so far is mainly from 3 different sides. So one of them is resources, ensuring that human capital is available for startups. So we have this startup visa program that helps to bring in talent from non-EU countries, as well as scale-up visa introduced for more mature companies this year. Then we also work with the legislative environment, helping to connect founders with the policymakers by organizing roundtables with the Prime Minister and other top-level politicians, and connecting them with our startup founders here in Estonia, as well as different programs like Startup Visa itself also help to create a better environment for entrepreneurship here. And last but not least, the third pillar is the ecosystem, because we have really, really nice support opportunities here in Estonia. So we have more than 100 different support organizations. A few of them also provide some services to support deep tech. But now actually our focus as the Estonian ecosystem so far is very software as a service based. Then Startup Estonia is also contributing to building the deep tech ecosystem here, as just this year a new action plan was put together that was also approved by the Ministry of Economics that is fully focused on building the deep tech ecosystem and ensuring that there is enough support for this here. But jumping into the Estonian ecosystem a bit more in numbers. So here I brought out the comparison of the general startup ecosystem and the deep techs. So we see that the deep tech ecosystem is still in its baby steps in Estonia, as in general we have more than 1,400 startups, which is big for a country of 1.3 million people. But amongst them, it's just 119 deep techs at the moment. So the aim of the deep tech action plan is also to increase this number up to 500 by 2030. So quite ambitious goals here again. And you can just see some comparison in other metrics as well, such as employment, taxes paid, and turnovers. But we can see that the deep techs that we have are already doing well and growing strongly, as also 13% of the venture capital raised last year went to deep techs. So for that, we are on a good track, I would say. And now going to the topic of female and mixed teams. What we see is that actually 17% of startup founders in Estonia in general are female. So there has been a slight increase throughout recent years, and we have slightly surpassed the European average, which is around 15%. However, actually, when we look at deep tech, it's even a bit better situation, as out of deep tech founders, 22% are female. And we have 32 deep tech companies that have at least one female co-founder. So that's a good sign as well. And if we look at the investment numbers here, it gets a bit more bleak. But still, if we compare to the fact that the European average of investments raised by mixed teams already dropped, and our number of mixed teams, the percentage of investments that goes to mixed teams is 6%. If we look at fully female teams, it's way less, so it's only 0.5%. And if we look at the deep tech mixed teams, then out of the total investments raised by Estonians, all of the Estonian startups, it's 0.8%. Now, if we look at the deep tech sector investments, then the mixed teams raised out of that 175 million, they raised 6%. So there is a lot of room for improvement, but also we have already some success stories among that as well. So we wanted to highlight some of the achievements of the women in deep tech and the mixed teams that we have here. So, for example, last year, we had Light Code Photonics and Nordica Medical, which I'm happy to see both of the representatives part of this webinar as well. I think I saw Heli somewhere in the participants list, and Laurelie will share her story as well. So they actually managed to raise last year both private and public money, and starting with winning this Startup Day pitching competition and getting syndicate investments from the Estonian Business Angels network. And also this year we have already had some great achievements by mixed teams in deep tech. So, for example, Gelatex Technologies won the food and agriculture category at the Hello Tomorrow Summit, there were like 4,000 applicants at first, of course, over different categories, but finally it was really a great achievement to see an Estonian deep tech there on the stage. And also, again, at Startup Day pitching competition, Gearbox Biosciences won the 125K investment from Baltic Sandbox Ventures. So happy to see again that even in these competitions where it's actually a generic audience, there is where there is a generic participants, then the deep tech teams and the deep tech teams, mixed teams, are still ending up on stage. But to end with, we have also a few suggestions or thoughts here that we gathered actually from the women in Estonian deep tech ecosystem. So here are some thoughts both from the investor side as well as the founders. So what are the things that we could do to really lift up the women in deep tech? First of all, look into breaking the vicious circle of similarity attraction. So actually creating diverse investment panels and selection committees, as well as the interesting point is about the written and visual language, that we should use a bit different language when we want to be inclusive towards female founders as well. There are some nice examples that I will not go into right now. Then as well, engage more women into your activities, invite them into entrepreneurship events. Okay, someone is unmuted. But yeah, so ensuring that you actually talk to maybe a bit different people than who are in your usual list, and make sure that you actually try to bring women more into these quite male-dominated worlds, especially such as VC. And also something that's really hard to do, because just yesterday we had another event about diversity in VC portfolio, and it was all women. But ideally, we would discuss these topics and discuss them with the mixed audience, that there are also men that are participating in this, and that we are more trying to make the privilege obvious to people, because privilege is invisible to the people that have it. So for this is, I think, one of the most trickiest points. And another suggestion that we can already do is to use the data to show that women-led startups are actually not riskier, and that they are bringing great results, because even in 2015, there was a research by First Round Capital that showed that actually female teams with at least female founder bring 63% better results. So that's something that we already have data to support it with. And last but not the least, you can't be what you can't see. So to show the women and uplift them also in the communication, in the PR, and show the success stories that can be role models to young girls. as well as, of course, increasing the educational opportunities to bring more girls into STEAM. So, of course, from that grassroots level. But with this, I would conclude for now, and for any further questions, I will be around as well. Here are my colleagues that work in the deep tech focus, so feel free to reach out to them as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandra. You know, everything you mentioned, it's kind of like part of our DNA, daily basis work, because it's truly unfair. You know, as a serial entrepreneur, I built 7 companies. I'm raising my own fund. I'm actively investing and honestly actively building new companies, because it's just the fact that the world needs more smart product, and it should be stories or success stories that been told or will be told on behalf of women as success by women. So you mentioned a lot of things focusing on Estonia, and I would love to bring the west part in a sense of Germany is a rich country. I'm always saying we have everything here: infrastructure, capital, brain, universities. Nothing is missing out of this, you know, puzzle. And to be very honest, my family originally is from Germany, but I was born and raised in Tel Aviv. So maybe it's also the mindset. Yeah, we will talk about the culture definitely, because we see that it's a lot about the culture that holding the women back, and we cannot not touching it. So part of the things that we're doing in WLOUNGE is even like raising leadership program, or having like platforms for women to start super small ticket to invest, because this is how we start teaching them or showing them that financial freedom, it's not a bad thing. It's, again, part of the culture. We're changing the narrative. So back to Germany, and I will have also an overview of Europe, because I'm also a jury and working very closely with the European Commission Fund. So for me, it's a bigger overview. It's not Estonia or Germany or France. It's like something that is cross-board, all countries, all cultures. But what I wanted to say is, if we stick to numbers, I totally love the numbers that you mentioned, which I think it's higher than the reality. But let's say the numbers are like super small anyway, 16%. So we definitely see, let's call it, that there is breaking down the barriers. We cannot say that there's no improvement. Absolutely, more women are into it. More women stop choosing motherhood or career. I mean, this is also rising in a lot of activities of us. Definitely when it comes to a professional decision. And on the same time, we do see like 21% of German ladies, let's say, raising their own startups, their own companies. On the same time, only 2% of the capital goes to those women. So what are we saying? We're saying that we need to encourage more women and to educate more women to really, you know, follow their dreams, follow their confidence, understand that they have their own vision, mission. But on the same time, what are we doing if they do not have the right support from the ecosystem? If they do not have access to money, if they do not have access to role models, as you mentioned also, Sandra, if they do not have access to when they need fundraising. And we all need fundraising, because you cannot go global and build significant, impactful company if you don't have enough capital. So what I want to say, Europe is in a situation that we are absolutely growing, and also in the European Commission, you know, when we see the horizon. So more ladies, more female lead companies are applying. Yes, it's around 20%, but it's a far away of being enough. The beautiful things we did, for example, with SIBB, you know, we start micro and go macro, is like converting together with SIBB the program to be very attractive to women. And what does it say? It says that we have to bring them the right communication, platform, energy, culture, welcoming. And then we see, like in the last 2 cohorts of SIBB, the one before this one, we had 85% female co-founders. And this is a game changer. It's just saying that if we're very focused on the mission, we can achieve that. And I think this is the vibe of this, event today. And you will see role models and you will see women that's raising companies and walk the talk. Last thing from my side, let's not forget that we're also having kind of like a pyramid, which means like universities. I'm lecturing in many universities, deep tech universities, ESMT, HPI. These are, the highest level ranking universities. And usually it's like 60 boys and 2 girls. And also those girls learning how they call it, building like walls, since super early stage age. So as an ecosystem, we have to give them the platform to really dream big and to believe in themselves. And then we're talking about startups level, and we mentioned that. And then what's happening in the venture capital level? How many women in Europe, and let's say even Germany, that's raising their own fund, really like stepping in as a partner? So in Germany, I can tell you it's less than 0%, which is 0 something, which means you can count them on 1 or 2 hands. In Europe, it's only 5%, which is still really keeping us back there. I can compare it, for example, to Israel, 45%, New York, more than 50%. So we have a lot to work. We're talking about education, as I see also on the chat, but we are also talking about doing, walk the talk, and also facilitate or bring more opportunities to women to step in. And this is coming back to culture. We all know that Eastern Europe women and also Western Europe, I can tell you, comparing to even Asia and comparing to America, are less supportive to each other. And this is the right forum to also talk about this. So without a further ado, I would like to say, please write on the chat, please jump into the discussion and feel comfortable, because that's the reason of really the main reason we're doing this today. So we will open up a panel discussion right now, but also feel free to take an active part on this panel. So we have with us Aga. Aga, where are you? Jump in and please present yourself.
Yes, hi everyone. I am Aga. I am co-founder of Czechturio and CTO of Czechturio. I am in Berlin, but I am originally Polish.
Perfect. Next to Aga, we have Laurelie. Laurelie, all the way from Germany, Cologne. Welcome, Laurelie. Please present yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Laurelie. I'm the co-founder of the United Share and I'm the CEO. And all my life I was working in male-dominated branches, first in real estate and now in prop tech. So I'm happy to tell you something today about my journey.
Absolutely looking forward to hear that. We have Paxi here with us. Where are you, Paxi?
Mali, thank you. Nice to be here. I'm Paxi. I'm the chief strategist at Stacks GmbH. We actually have also a founder and CEO who's female. I've been in tech for more than 15 years. I've helped supported $200 million in sales, raised millions of dollars, and we IPO'd a company for $6.9 billion in the US. I'm official startup mentor for the German entrepreneurship program that's funded by the German government. And I must do a shout out to SIBB, and this is not because they put me on the panel, because they put Alexandra on the panel. We just had an incredible connection with a Polish company that became a partner, who I traveled with for 2 days in Pittsburgh, and we have leads coming out of that. So thank you, SIBB, and thank you, Mali, because Mali I've seen her doing other entrepreneurship support and especially female founders support. So thank you so much. And I'm really here to Mali's point, can we work together? Can we start creating this ecosystem, expand the ecosystem, bring more men into the ecosystem, and let's do this, because we're it, guys. You're it. So thank you.
Amazing. And with this energy, Alessia, please step forward so we can see you.
Hello, I'm Agnieszka from Estonia. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Nordic Medical, Estonian medtech startup, and I will share my story later today in more details.
Fantastic. And we are missing one, Rina Klein, and Rina is actually alumni from SIBB that we met during the program. And then I'm just want to bring the puzzle together. She came to me, she is part of WLOUNGE community, and half a year ago, they were like super early stage startup. After the stipendium, after the accelerator, we took them into exit. Just again, I would say mindset, culture, and their company EcoTrack were sold to EcoVadis in France, and she would probably join us. I don't know what's happened, honestly. She never answered right now. I just wrote her WhatsApp, but we move on. It just showing again what you just mentioned, Paxi, that we are bringing it together. We bring more opportunities and we support each other. And eventually we can say this is a significant success story that's led by female CEO or female co-founder. So again, I would say, please write it in chat and jump into the discussion, raise your hand. We would like to do this, synergy here. And I would love you to feel it as a safe zone, because it's us really willing to hear what are you doing and how can we help you? So we don't want to pink everything and to say like, everything is ready for us. We build companies, we're doing what we're doing. We want to help also the younger generation to overcome obstacles. And my first question for the panel to all of you is, let's talk about obstacles. Let's talk about winning this chair in the table, winning this pitch in front of investor, winning this credibility of leading company and leading team. Sometimes the problem is coming even within the company, not only outside. So maybe we will start with you, Agnieszka, that maybe share with us a bit about obstacles.
So my story or my presentation, I mean, or some, because I actually have, in my story, I have some obstacles.
Fantastic. So let's start with your presentation.
Okay.
And then we will come back with the panel.
Great. So then I will share it. So, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So let's start with a small test. So imagine a CEO and imagine someone in a board meeting. And if you're done, you probably imagined a male, a man. And now imagine someone leaving early to pick up their kids. And in this case, you probably imagined a woman. And I love so much these placards, these examples, because they illustrate that most of us have unconscious biases that influence our actions. And this is why we are having this discussion today. I'm Agnieszka, and I'm actually all of that you see on the slides. I'm CEO, I'm board member, and I'm also the one leaving up early to pick up my kid. I co-founded my company 4 years ago. It's Nordic Medical. It's very classical deep tech startup. We came from lab. Currently, we are developing our first product, antibacterial wound dressing to cure infected wounds, because it's a huge problem. And now we are in clinical trials, and we really see that we can cure wounds that cannot be cured with other methods, meaning we can save lives. But before we reached this stage, we had many challenges. So here I have my obstacles. I think being in the deep tech sector is already a challenge, and maybe especially in medtech sector. I think you all know that there are high investment needs, there are long cycles for returns, and as a result, there is low interest from private investors compared to classical, maybe software, text, and especially in the beginning. And how we solved it, Sandra already a little bit covered it. We solved it with crowdfunding. We received funding from different sources. In the beginning, we were not successful, by the way. It took us 2 years to write all these grants. In the beginning, we didn't receive anything. And once we generated enough data to convince funders, then we started to receive. And by today, we received around 2.5 million euros from different sources. And actually, I'm convinced that without grant funding, it's very, very hard to be in deep tech unless you're not a millionaire founder. Then very interesting, but being a scientist was also a challenge in some way, because talking with investors, I felt that they actually believed in our technology. They trusted clinical data, technological side, but they were not convinced. They had sort of bias. They were thinking that scientists are not good in business development and scientists cannot excel in sales. And also being a woman sort of added to that, because especially in the beginning, I was not confident enough. I was very open, did not overplay, let's say, and then it also in some way was a problem for getting an investment. So how we solved it? I hired a business developer, a male, by the way, and him just being in the meetings, somehow very quickly, it helped. So it convinced investors that we are a very complete team, and we can also be very good in business and sales. Then there are some advantages of being a female co-founder and female CEO, I think. As already mentioned actually by Sandra, and there are different studies that actually female-founded teams outperform their male counterparts. I think there are different reasons for that. Females handle stress very well, they're resilient, and actually I have the feeling they take less risks. Or I mean, they manage risks better, and they are more about the mission, about the work, not about presenting themselves, let's say. Also, awareness about biases increased, and that's very helpful. I think Mali covered it a little bit already. There are many programs and funding schemes. I put some here, maybe it will help you. For example, we got the first grant actually from Women Tech EU program. That's very nice, 75,000 price in just money for deep tech led by a woman, so recommended. So I actually think that things are going in the right direction. And I believe that in a couple of years, we will have no need for these discussions. So in the future, there will be no female leaders, there will be just leaders. Thank you. And I will be happy to hear your thoughts.
Very close, very strong closure. No female leader or female founder, just founder. This is a big discussion, by the way. Yeah. So before we will come back to the panel, Laurelie, I would love to give you the stage, because as you saw, Alessia is coming from Estonia, Laurelie is coming from Germany, and we would love also to touch the culture, although I saw, Alessia, that you got money from Berlin Fund. So it's just showing that it doesn't matter where you are, you know, you should go for the smart money, for the smart investors for yourself. Laurelie, please, the stage is yours.
Yes, hello. Yeah, first of all, I want to share my screen with you. I present today our United Share. What is the challenge we have at the moment? I work in real estate, and real estate is responsible for 40% of all emissions worldwide. And 80% of these emissions depend on tenants' consumption. So what did we think about? How can we change this? In our approach is United Share rewards tenants to reduce energy consumption. That means in numbers, we can cut the energy consumption and the costs by 25%. And on the same time, we can increase the property value by 15%. What is our biz model? We take an installation fee by the landlord, and we have recurring commissions from our ecosystem partners. Why we are circular economy? We produce value. On the one hand, we have the energy reduction that saves the tenants money and the ROI of the property. We are building a community, growing community of energy savers, where this community can use our sustainable microservices with their tokens. We are about to scale because we're building a huge community, and with this growing of the community, also our services are growing. And here now we come to the whole tech part. We not just thinking about how we can change the energy consumption now. We are developed towards interoperable ecosystem, from a closed rewarding system to a public NFT for the real estate industry. And this is a very big step for the real estate industry, because you have to imagine real estate is pretty slow. And Technic is for them like, wow, what are you doing there? So we have to be very careful with this wording Web3 and NFT in the real estate, because some are not really ready for this. But we want to build the ecosystem that energy saving becomes an attractive currency. This is our big vision. And this is what I was thinking about when we are talking about our obstacles and our, let's say, problems which come up. When you imagine my last vision, building an NFT for the real estate industry, this is a long-term project, and building a company is not as a marathon and not a sprint race. That means my product developed over a period of almost 1 year, and we are still sharpening it. So don't worry when you're sometimes overthinking your product, your ideas, your visions. But on one point, when you say, okay, this vision is really big, and go for it. Stop overthinking and try to get your goal. I think this is very important. Yeah, I also have take the chance and learn how to do it later. My favorite quote is from Richard Branson. He said, if someone offers you amazing opportunity, but you're not sure you can do it, say yes and learn how to do it later. I think this is one of the best advices I had for my whole life, because sometimes women think they are not good enough or they're not well prepared enough, but I think this is a very important quote, and I really love this because sometimes you just have to go for it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Combining family and work is possible, but sometimes exhausting. I don't want to tell you, oh, it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Yeah, it's not. I always tried my best to be a great entrepreneur and a great mother at the same time. To be honest, sometimes I wasn't even both. So that's okay. We are humans, and I believe I would sometimes mess up as an entrepreneur, even if I'm not a mother. So don't be too hard to yourself. You can do it, but it's exhausting, but go for it. And the last, and for me, very important point is, and that's why we are here today, building a network of supporters, and don't forget to open doors to others. I always worked in male-dominated branches, and in the beginning, I didn't really want to connect with my male colleagues too much, but that was a mistake. I was so focused on my experience of the last 20 years in real estate that I forgot that times have changed, and build a network, take any opportunity and help others, and not even only women, but also men. Try to to build your own ecosystem of helpers, and don't forget also to open the doors to others, because I think sometimes you don't know why they come by your way, but maybe they are very important for you and bring you to the great ideas at the end. So I think something like this, what we do today, is very important, and I can only encourage all of you to go for it. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Laurelie. Absolutely, I would clap as well. Something I want to share with you is like, if you feel comfortable, open your camera. I mean, it's serving you more than it's serving us. This is a learning. You know, when we're doing like this in WLOUNGE, I'm always thinking like, okay, would I join this, or would it be enough or significant enough for the people that listening that tomorrow they're coming back to their desk, different people? So let's try to make this happen now. And we talked about obstacles, and both of you, also Laurelie and Alessia, you mentioned those obstacles, but like go get there and having a mission. So one of the things we did is we built leadership program that we integrated with the European Commission, and we integrated with like corporate to really set up the mindset, because it's a lot about the mindset. It's a lot about believing that you are getting there and you're on the right path. And as Laurelie mentioned, you're doing a lot of mistakes, but who's not? Yeah, like we fail, we move on, we continue. So we build leadership language, and one of the icons is like, what is your mission? What is your vision? And by that, have you ever write it down? What is my mission, in why I'm building these companies, why I'm the person for it? Or even like if you work in corporate, you work in venture capitals, we're doing this a lot also in Women in Ventures. What is my vision? What is my mission? What I want to bring into this organization? And then take it, once you write it down, how I'm using it as building my own voice. And let's talk about this on a personal level, my own voice in a sense of when you talk, people are listening. And also my own voice is like, okay, if Alessia, you're going to biotech conference, they want to have you there because you're becoming an expert in your industry. This is how I see both level on voice, yeah? And us as women, I don't want to say it as victimized, but I want to put it as a fact. We are less on stage. I mean, I'm not speaking about for myself because I fought for it enough, but we always have to, you know, kind of like, I would say, lift each other up. If you are the only one, it's your responsibility. So my question to you and all of you, and let's start with the panel, share with us your mission, vision, and eventually how you really raised your voice and becoming what you are today. And it's of course referring to the, what can I say, role model, talented lady on the panel, but feel free also to ask questions in the chat or open your camera and talk. So maybe we will start with Paxi this time.
That's an amazing question. Because we're all just doing, and sometimes you have to step back and go, what's you know, what am I doing here? I think for me, I have done a lot of different works in different sector, and I think my mission is always, how can I be of value? Like, how can I serve, you know, this group or other groups that you're part of? Where do you fit, and how can you be of value? And so it's really funny, but because I've worked with, I received the US Embassy grant to go to New Zealand to work with the US Consul General, and there were only Maori women. And Maori women are incredible. We can learn a lot from them, because it's really almost a female dominated society. It's like it's flipped. And they sat around the table and everybody went, how can I be of service to this community, to the mountains and the waters around us, and to this planet? And I think as long as you're giving, you will receive. Like, I'm not ever worried of, if I connect this person to that person, what will happen? No, it's like, this is what we need to learn from the boys. I think women sometimes are really fearful of, if I connect Mali to Sandra, what's going to happen? And no, because it will work out. Like, if it's meant to be that they will do something together, it will work out. And the credit is for me. In some weird way, it will come back to me that I receive credit, because we are sometimes too afraid of, I don't know what that is, because maybe we feel, oh, if it doesn't work out, we're to blame, or maybe I want to keep this person to myself. And I don't think that it will serve us in the end. I think that's a very short-sighted mentality. Let me give you an example. My husband built several companies. He raised an awful lot of money. And when I see him with the guys, they do this. And Mali, you're a little bit like this too. It's like, I'm building a company, or I have this project. Who do you know? Talk to Jim. Like, they barely know Jim. And then he's like, oh, hey, here. And then they call Jim, do you want? Because sometimes we go, it's discrimination. No, we gotta, why don't we have an old girls network? We go, oh yeah, I know Molly. Why don't you call her? Like, no, I barely know Molly, but you should call her anyway. Like, she's a friend. Like, I met her twice. No, you should just say, yeah, call her. Like, you never know where it goes. And I just think, I know this is a very long answer to your question, but my point is, guys, girls, I mean, you all pick to be entrepreneurs. That is a big, stinking, difficult, challenging thing anyway, right? So don't say, oh, it's because I'm a female entrepreneur. Yes, sometimes if your name was Max Muller, you had an easier time in raising money, but the boys have a hard time raising money too. They're down and out too. They are sometimes in the corner being depressed too. So it's not always because we are women. That's just maybe my point. So step up. How can I be of value in any situation? And, just keep pushing. And I don't know, keep pushing.
Big message. Yeah. Aga, how did you get into the idea of Czech Tour, and what is your, I would say, vision, mission, and then raising your voice within the industry?
Yes, so I have a mission. Current mission is to build great software as a service offering with Czech-Turio. And I want, together with my other female co-founder, Luisa, that is, by the way, also present here today, show that we can make great product with research in machine learning, and that we can have successful customer relationships and profitable business. So I have like really down to earth mission now to actually make my own startup profitable on a mission to success. But this is just the, let's say, one piece of my mission. My mission is actually bigger. So I have been sitting as the only woman in a room for the last 20 years, being a software engineer, data architect, solution architect. I have seen most women left, actually, the tech industry, because there is no future currently for them, because they are not getting promoted, they cannot grow, they are not seen equivalent to the male engineers, like I got, asked if I could get like my male colleague on a workshop to have somebody technical, I got asked at some recruiting events that somebody wanted to speak to technical person because it was about developer positions, right? And I believe that we can, obviously we cannot change the culture. We need to bring diversity. So as long as I am the only woman in the room, it's not going to happen, because I am different. I am not going to be seen as a higher expert, this like small smiling girl, I am not taken seriously. So my view is that it is for us a great opportunity to have a startup, because I am building now an inclusive software community of my team, with women also being developers, and basically by building a culture that is not what I have experienced in last 20 years. And I believe I can make a change like this. I have been also active in women committees, you know, supporting other women. And yeah, this is how it works. Yeah, I also say what my salary ranges are for open positions. I don't want women to get paid less, you know, or so I believe this is my mission. And I want that the young girls don't feel like I felt in my previous positions.
I absolutely want to back you on that, because you're saying something that I will build my own culture, my own company culture. But how are you really doing this? By saying this, or how you do it? I mean, give us 1 or 2 tips, like how you really implement that into the company.
Yes, so the first point, I take a lot of effort to hire also female developer, which is not easy. So I really look through networks, through LinkedIn, through promoting to actually attract female developers. I also read research about it, and that's why I am posting the salary ranges in all job ads to show, because many women don't change work, but they are underpaid, right? So this is how I am doing. Moreover, I am trying to pay fairly, right? So I am really looking how many years of experience developers have, you know, like what is their education, to not actually have situations if a developer is pressing me to pay more and I really want to get him right on board, but I need to see other members, because I would need to give them a raise, right? I mean, if there is, like, I have a female developer that earns less, right? And then I want to get another expert, and he presses me that he would only accept the offer if he gets more. And I have to say no, unless I have budget to give a raise to my female developer. So this is how I am doing it. And besides, I am also coaching the team. So I offer, you know, like to talk with them and to share my experiences. So in that like human way, I don't know if this is, you know, an expert way, but this is how I am doing it.
It's the genuine way. Absolutely. Laurelie, maybe you would like to share with us, because real estate is absolutely male dominated, but not just saying this, we can say it also in the venture capital world, but real estate, it's really, it will take more time, I would say, to restructure it or to bring really high level women in, but you're doing this. So maybe give us your secret.
When I started working in real estate, I was building my own company, my first company, when I was 21, right after university. So to be honest, I think nobody really took me serious back then, because all the males, it were white men between 50 and 60, and they told me they know how to play this game. But somehow I had the luck that I had a few supporters, mainly male supporters, who said, okay, I give you a chance. And I think this was the biggest impact to me, that I said, okay, I have a chance, and I was working really, really hard for it. I believe much harder than any male in this position, but it paid out at the end. So I built my customers, my clients, and it was growing, and I also tried to employ a lot of women to surround me with this kind of spirit I wanted to work in, because I wanted to have it different than the others. And this was working out really well. Later in real estate, in the last years, I tried to get on this path of sustainability. And in the beginning, they all said, "Wow, sustainability in real estate, this is not a thing, nobody will care." I think that was 4 or 5 years ago. And I believed in this, and I said, this is going to be a big thing, because we have the problem that real estate is responsible for so many emissions. And at the end, I was lucky enough that I had also, again, supporters who said, okay, we believe in what we are doing and go for it. And so I built this prop tech company. By the way, we are a mixed team. My CTO is male, but he's the one who has to leave the meetings to pick up his son from the kindergarten. So it's a little different in our team. But I think it's for me, it was always important that I don't care so much if somebody is male or female. I was always trying to look at the person. And yes, real estate is difficult, but we now had a big real estate exhibition, the biggest in Europe, in Cannes. And I was attending it, and I can tell you that the first time in all these years, I had the experience that the guys there didn't look at me as a woman, but as a colleague. And I never had this experience before, because it was always, I was exhibiting there, and normally it was like, okay, the only women who work there are delivering food or something. So this time it was totally different, and I was so, wow, yeah. It really had an impact on me, because this is what we all say, change is not only about us women, change is also about the men, and they work with us, and they also go this step forward and say, okay, as a team. And I think this is also what brings success into a company, that you work as a team, no matter if you're male or female. So I think this is a very big point. We have to educate the men around us, and some of us are mothers, and I think this is a very big impact we can have. Yeah? We can teach our sons how to be in the future, how to become these men we would wish we had today. So I think we have many big points on our side, and I think the future will bring it the right way for us.
Absolutely. Before we move on, Olesya, would you like to say something, although you said some on the presentation already?
Actually, my mission is very much in line with what Paxi said, because I like to do valuable things, and I think it was guiding me more or less throughout the life. So I was a scientist for many years, because I still believe it's very valuable, but once we did the discoveries that I believed could change the industry and could be beneficial for patients, for people in another way, maybe in even a better way, at least in my view. So then we founded the company. So, and maybe also to add about one example, how actually hard it is to change this male-dominated world. So when we were hiring a co-founder, business co-founder, we had 10 candidates, one female, only one female, and she was absolutely the best. So, and I always also try to hire female if I have the opportunity, but she was anyway the best. And I did her the proposal, and then she refused because she thought, I think I will not manage. so how it's actually quite complicated.
Yeah, but as long as you focus on your values, I think it will lead you to the right decision. And this is actually the next topic, because we all, I believe women are, I would say, fighting for building companies and fighting to build up our dreams. It's because we stick to our values. When I started, I was 26. Of course, I fundraised a lot for my companies, but I was fundraising from guys, good guys, doesn't matter, but that was the game back then, yeah? So I was in my 20s, I'm in my 40s, so you can understand the gap, and things are changing for good. And my second question for the panel, and also for the rest of the people here, is that I would love to challenge the question, East Europe, West Europe, global level, individual story, it doesn't matter. Let's talk about ticket size. Is it harder to women to fundraise. Let's say Laurelie, real estate, it's industry with a lot of money. Absolutely biotech, and you fundraise from the EIC, so probably it was Horizon, which I'm very, very much involved there, and less women are, not enough women are applying, let's call it this way. Let's talk about the source of fundraising, because I think it will give a lot of tips for the listeners here. And how do you feel with your own process or process that you saw around you when it comes to women-led startup, female co-founders fundraising for their own companies? Who wants to start here?
Yeah, maybe I start. As I told you, I'm since 20 years in this business, and in the lucky situation that in the beginning we bootstrapped our company, and later on we found a founder. We found somebody who was supporting us, but it was more on a not a private investor. It was from a semi-governmental company, and they have the focus on sustainability. So for me, it was important that the message, more or less, for the company is nice storytelling, and we all in this really sustainability part, and not only greenwashing. So and it was, let's say, pretty easy. They saw the idea, they saw the story behind, they saw the team, and it was really working out very good. But to be honest, in real estate, it is very difficult to raise money, because as prop techs, we are something in between, because normally investors invest in real estate and then in real estate and not in prop techs. So I think this is the biggest difference, and to find people to invest in prop techs maybe sometimes are more focused on the tech part, not on the prop part. I think this is the biggest difference. But I have the feeling that when they're interested and they talk to me and they see, okay, I really understand what I'm talking about, and I really very well educated in all those parts, then it's getting easier. But it's still, in a male-dominated branch, not so easy for a woman to fundraise, I think.
But Laurelie, can you share more about the numbers? Like, this is something that we are here from a totally different countries, different cultures, Germany is much richer, but still we are like in Europe.
Yeah.
Maybe you can share more.
Yeah, we until now we bootstrap by ourselves about let's say it's more or less 400,000 euro, and we raised about 150,000 euro. So this is at the moment the stage we are now going out to the market. It's about more or less 500,000 we have put into the company. So this is all not without any second or third investor in the company. So we don't have anybody else in the company. So this is quite good for us. But we now have to go to the next step, and we now have to choose wisely what kind of investor we want to have in the company. And this is at the moment, this is more or less a struggle for me to decide what road we are now taking, in which direction. I think this is the hardest part at the moment, to decide in which direction we go now.
Maybe Aga, you can step in here and share with us your own journey.
Yes, so I think we have a bit younger journey than the rest of the startups. We have nevertheless raised 500,000 as a convertible loan from the pre-seed investor and OEM. And I have to say that it very much depends on the type of an investor. And I think that this all ends up, as it was mentioned, with finding the right investor. Because if you have the good KPIs and you have a promising business, you just need to get the right one, because if your values are not in line with your investor, this investor, I could say he, is not going to be helpful, or it could be even an obstacle later on if you have a lot of, discussions and difficult decisions and conflicts. So I believe that if sometimes we have a feeling that we are not taking seriously by when pitching to some of the investors, it simply means that's not a good match for Trakturio and for us, that we basically need to find another one. So I think it really is we need to find a good match. I also I'm working on some support. So I got a feedback that you actually need a male advisor, a strong male advisor to actually show. So if he trusts them, maybe I trust them as well. That investor, basically, that you take a bit of this credibility also from some male that has more reputation that you have. So I've heard that. I don't know what others think, but this is what I am thinking about in our strategy. But we are raising by the end of the year, and now we are basically talking to different venture capitalists, and let's see. And I don't know how it will end, but I think it's just the time, right? So you have to talk to enough number of venture capitalists or business angels, or whatever stage you are at, and simply be honest to your values. So you shouldn't actually compromise your values when choosing an investment, because I think it's going to hit you sooner or later if you didn't choose wisely.
Aga, what are your values? I mean, let's be clear, when we say value, what are the values that leading you to talk with this investor or that investor?
I think the value is to build an excellent and bringing benefits product, and being in the same way fair, meaning, for example, not abusing your employees, so basically those are my values. So I want to build a great software, have great customer engagements, but in the same way, it's important how I do it. So that basically there is everybody is included, that there is no this, perception of only white men sitting in the room. So I believe that this is basically what the investor should share, and it's and such investors are there. I mean, it's not true that every venture capitalist is a male sitting there and just saying, oh, why she's not cooking the dinner today, right? So I don't think it's that way. And there are also some funds that use AI to basically look for good investments. They are removing the biases, right? And I think that if you are good, you can be successful, regardless if you are a woman or a man in raising.
So another topic of what you mentioned is add a man into your advisory to be more acceptable, to more creditable. So is it a man, or is it something that we need to do anyway, because every founder should have his own advisors, which means showing that those people that trust them, or you see specifically put them guys and not women, just because it's showing something else?
Yeah, I think that this advice came from OUTS, the female fund, and that it has to be specifically a man, unfortunately.
Okay, it's a tip, but it's also big things to talk about. Absolutely.
I would like to stress the importance of smart money, like you both mentioned, because we just said no to an investor because it was not smart money, because sooner or later, like you said, you will be dealing with going directions with your company, taking your company in certain directions because of your investor. So Stacks raised 1.75, and we're now raising money again. And it's, you know, you have to talk to an X number to find that one or two that will be a good fit, right? So that's pretty typical. I wouldn't say they say no because of, you know, we're female founders, but they say no because, like you said, it's not a good fit for their fund. I would say the big difference between raising money in the US and here is it's totally different to begin with, right? Because there's not the number of VCs here, the ticket sizes, like Mali mentioned, is already a different ball game. But in Germany, in Europe, I would say you have so many, I saw, you know, many of you raise money through grants, accelerators that have certain loans, etc., bridges, that, you know, there's so many more flavors than institutional investors. We raise money from institutional investors, but I know actually personally a company that lived for 3 years just on grants and awards, prizes, and etc. And they retain most of the ownership of the company. And I would say that's the golden ticket, right? That's, you mentioned bootstrapping. That's, if you can do that, that's the holy grail. Not saying that at some point you do need institutional investments, like Mali said, because you cannot scale otherwise. But if you can, there's nothing wrong with not raising money from big VCs, or, you know, you have family offices, you have so many flavors here. So I would say think more than just institutional investments.
Yes, I also wanted to add, if I may, that we also applied for a research grant from the city of Berlin because we are researching the function to recognize damages on commercial vehicles automatically. It's a machine learning research. And yeah, we are also hoping, but obviously it's a long process, right? So I mean, this would take at least 6 to 7 months to actually get a decision from the city.
But what you mentioned also, Paxi, it's interesting because let's think big for a second, okay? You said it's different in America, but we're not fighting in local level. As a startup, you fight in a global level, yeah? You want to be a category leader. You want to become unicorns. I mean, we can also debate that, but the majority of the venture capital is giving you money to get those qualities. But on the same time, you know, I wish Rina was here because, for example, they did like really, really early stage proof of concept. And then after half a year, exit of 12 million. So, I mean, if you ask me, these are the stories that I want to have here. But on the same time, you're right. Are we actually ready for it as an ecosystem, European ecosystem, to even drive those numbers? I mean, would you go, Aga, Paxi, also Alessia, and definitely Laurelie, when it comes to real estate, to ask for, like, you know, seed round in Israel is 5 to 7 million. In Silicon Valley, even more. And we are, I mean, I just want to emphasize that kind of like we are, this is a question, are we squeezing us kind of like in a sense of, say, we can run companies, we can start very small, we can maintain, we can grow, or we need to have a different mindset. We go big, we are able, we're capable, and you know what? It's not only the investors that we want to talk with, the investors will come to us. Because to be very honest, this is my attitude when I'm building my own companies.
That's a good point, and this is why we bootstrapped and why we have this grant, because we said, I want to make the company in my best position to talk to an investor. I want to be in the best position to say, okay, this is my product, this is the company, and we're doing really great. So I want to raise a high amount of money, but just with a little impact in my company, you know? So this was the reason, because we said, okay, we don't want anybody too early in advance in the company as an investor, because I want to be in the position to make better conditions for me at the end, you know? That was the reason why we put it the other way around.
Absolutely. And that's the question. That's the question. I feel it's an attitude. So maybe, Alessia, would you like to share your own story when it comes to numbers? Because I said this is a safe zone. Let's talk about numbers. Let's talk about capabilities.
Yes, I really like this mindset of going for really big deal. To share our story, actually, this is why I mentioned in my presentation that it's close to impossible actually to do it without grant funding, because in medtech, just to obtain a very basic data, you need a lot of money. And we didn't have, as co-founders, we didn't have this money. And actually we had some propositions from investors, but at very low valuations, and also some were from really bad investors. So I felt it's a bad deal. And actually at some point I put the full company under this risk. I decided that we will just not take money from this investor, whatever will come. So we will not. And then it was very hard time. So and that is the same moment we started to receive grants. So it was important decision. And I absolutely agree that it's so important to get the right investor. It's like crucial.
Absolutely. What I would like to add, I put it on the chat. Some people from the organization, which I absolutely think that because part of the people here are putting notes and want to be involved. So we will take us to 3, Vlad will manage this, to 3 breakup rooms for 5 to 7 minutes, and then we will come back for close-up. So maybe you will feel more comfortable to raise your question and to exchange. And as you know, also Paxi mentioned, call for network and connect each other, and let's do it. So Vlad, please, if you can spread it to the 3 rooms, and we will come back in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would also,
Actually,
yes, Magdalena, please.
yeah, I would just encourage also that people who are interested in joining and networking, maybe you can prepare your LinkedIn link so that you can continue conversation after the webinar. It's always good to exchange your contact details that you can have a longer conversation later on.
Nice point.
yes, dear audience, you can choose the room by yourself, and you can also change the room in between this networking part. So feel free to do it.
Thank you. A question that we can build up some, project together to support younger generation to come into more deep tech, and it doesn't matter where it is, Estonia or Berlin, because everything is also hybrid today. Everyone or anyone want to say something, because we are closing up in 5 minutes, and I would love to hear you, each one of you, if you have to say, or will you want to say anything? Yes, Magda, you raise your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you very much for this interesting conversation. I mean, it's always good to have different perspectives. I think also the culture matters also, even when it comes to the female support. But on the other hand, I think the most important is just to reach more critical mass, no? That we see successful women all over, and then really things will start changing. So thank you very much for all the women who are successful tech leaders, that you are here, that you are visible, that you speak up. I think it's so important also for a younger generation. I'm also mom of teenage girl, and I think it's so great that she can just see such a ladies around her, and not like on many conferences, just as some of you mentioned, no, men in the suits, which I don't mind to see them as well, but I think it's important that we reach this bigger scale. So thank you very much for showing so many good examples, and let's hope we will grow in scale and we'll have even more such a successful stories.
Yep. Absolutely. Maybe you wanted to say something.
Yeah, just want to thank everyone, and I'm sure you guys are super busy, but still you're taking this time off, sharing your experience, elevating all the other women around you, which is amazing. So thank you for elevating other women. That's really empowering.
Anyone else? Yeah, please go for it. Avita.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. It was very interesting and very spontaneous, actually. I didn't know about this event. I'm happy I could join so spontaneously, and wanted to tell you also that I really support any woman startup, and we here in Berlin at Berlin Partner and working internationally also supporting really also women tech companies. So please, if you really want to go apply for EU funding, we are there for you to support. And we are applying as our EN Enterprise Europe Network, we are applying for a special program to have us funding from EU so that we can really support women tech. When you are planning to apply for EIC, which is European Innovation Council funding, there will be a special funding for Europe, also for European funds for the women. So we will be really happy to receive interested women tech companies, not only startup, but really also companies who are planning to get EU funding and accelerate their business at higher levels, EU levels and global levels. Please come to us at Enterprise Europe Network, and we will be happy to support you.
Maybe share your contact details, Vita, in the chat so that people can reach you.
Vita, happy to hear that. You know, I'm a juror in the European Commission Fund, so that's
fantastic.
And Berlin Partner is a family since ages, so it's amazing and happy to have you here. Just looking at the time, but I want to say thank you very much, Sandra, Aga, of course, like Pierrette, you are here, like you are the brain behind that, together with Magdalena. I'm happy we actually opened this up when we met in Berlin, and look at where we are today. And of course, Paxi and Alessia, and of course, Laurelie. I know all of you, and I would love to meet you in person as well in the future, and hopefully to collaborate even more. Thank you so much. And if you have anything to say, you're more than welcome to send an email afterwards.